All right, let's get started. Welcome everyone. I hope everyone's going well tonight. So yeah, we're jumping straight into it tonight. We're gonna design a couple of the components, mainly because I'm pretty sure I'm happy with how this is coming out. I'll need to do all the unit testing and all that end-to-end tests and all that kind of fun stuff. However, I want to have a look at a couple of designing things tonight, just because I know that they're blocking me for a couple of tasks. So, for example, I need to know what I need to build in Welk, or whether or not I've met the minimum requirements at the moment. Other things that I got to do, well, of course, this design. Yeah, pretty much design. Once again, we are joined tonight with Socks. There she is. She is trying to get in the way. So she'll be causing me a couple of problems. Oops, my phone fell out of my pocket. Alright. So, designing. One thing which I kind of want to deal with is both modals. Actually, sorry, let me rephrase some stuff. Usually, with let's say this plus group, you click on it. Currently, at the moment, in NearBeach, it'll bring up a modal, and you pretty much search for the group and you add it in that way. I don't know if I want to keep that, or if I bring up a sidebar, very much like this over here. And Braco has these little sidebars that will pop up whenever you click on something like that, and that way you can add stuff in and so forth like that. I was thinking of implementing something like that, or whether or not I go with a modal, but have it structured kind of like a wizard. So I've been doing some research. And yeah, I've just been having a look, playing around with a couple of things. So, for example, having a look at this, seeing it like, okay, so you got the account details, and I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. You got it up at the top, and I'm like, yeah, we could potentially do that in a modal. We could do that in an aside too. However, we don't have as much space in the asides. Which, by the way, I'm not talking about asides like this, that it pops up on the left or the right. You also have other things too, like something like that, like so when you click on it, it brings up some stuff and you can go through the thing. We just got to figure out how we want to do this and think. We've got to think, how can we be consistent? We can't have some pop up with modal and some not, and so forth like that. Other things would be, for example, if I go back to here, if someone deletes, let's say, a group and stuff like that, it's not meant to delete the group like that. What we should be doing is we should be getting that confirmation. However, that being said, re-adding them back in isn't going to be too hard. But we should do it just in case someone has a direct click or a misclick with their finger or something like that. It's not hard to do. That's what we currently do in NearBeach, where it confirms that you want to remove that piece of information. So, give me a couple of seconds. Let's go into demo. Alright, so at the moment, I keep doing that, don't I? At the moment, if I remove this, it'll pop up with this, and it gives you another chance just to sort of back out. And I'm probably going to keep dropping this. I'm probably going to keep it like this with the modal pop-up. Another example that I've seen is when someone clicks on that, it pops up a little tooltip above, tooltips type of situation above, where you've got like a cross and a tick, and I'm like, that's just too fiddly on a mobile phone, and so forth like that. So if someone accidentally does this, they can just boop, and it'll just go away. Same thing with the demo user and stuff like that. If we do a linked object, this would be good for the wizard. So you can go, yeah, project. You can add that in. However, we'll probably redo this. So, yeah. Yeah, I've got to figure out how we can do this one. But it won't be a problem. We've also got, for example, add customers and stuff like that. We can do that a bit differently. So, we've also got the create sprints, and that might be a good sort of, yeah, definitely not in the modal. Add object to the sprint. Yeah, that would be a wizard where you search for it and stuff like that. Adding on tags, once again, that will be a bit different. Yeah, we won't use the modal there. I think having like a little thing down here, like a little text input, be able to type in the stuff and hit enter to add the tag in that way will be the solution for that. Notes, yeah, we're doing that a little bit differently. The note history will actually just contain a little note history in here. You just and then you submit it. And yeah, so we're just looking at designs at the moment. We're not going to implement anything right now. I can close that. So yeah, looking at this, for the modals, this will work. Just got to think of mobile view, how that will work. But I don't think many of the a lot of the. Let me rephrase. I don't think there's many steps for a lot of adding content to a project and stuff like that. So. Yeah, I think the modals won't be that large. They'll probably be about that size. Let's have a look here. I can't see because Socks is in the way. Let's do that so you guys can actually see. So yeah, we've got something like that. And then you would do next. All right, cool. We've also got this one. I had a look at this one. I like this one. It's looking really, really nice. We could potentially do that where it takes up the whole screen with a bit of information and stuff like that. I don't know how that will look like on mobile phone though. So if we bump that off into mobile, it'd be kind of like that. In which case, yeah, it'll be... You could potentially have this whole thing... Maybe, but then again, you just need this. So yeah, we're just designing tonight. I've also got to design this, so we can probably jump in on that tonight. I'm just having a look at my design over there. I just got to think of it how it will work on mobile. We can throw something together very, very quickly with temporary data and just get it to work. Another thing is I actually like these buttons, and I'm tossing up whether or not to throw them into work. But at the same time, they very specific functionality. And I don't think we could, I mean, to throw it into Welk would be us actually adding in a class which just appends those dotted lines. It's not hard at all. Yeah, it'll be similar to this, where we've got the primary and stuff like that. So what we would do is we would probably go border style, sorry. It'll be dashed or dotted. I like the dotted, and then we would do something like background color is none. Ooh. Invalid property name. Border color, we'll actually have that as black. The none that doesn't work. And then, you know, set it up so that way there's no colors and so forth like that. Or no fill. However, that being said, this is very, very styled in a particular way. I mean, it's possible. That's the thing. So I've got to think about those buttons. And yeah, I've got to think about the delete too. Get those to work, get the add user to work, all that kind of fun stuff. Get that, pretty much the group access and user access I need to start getting to work. We can get that with real data tonight. Oh yeah, no, that's the QA team. I've also got to deal with this down here. Yeah, all right. Still a lot of the design to do. Getting there slowly. Let's just say that. Alright, cool. Linked objects. I'm gonna tell you what, because I've got the linked objects design sort of done, I'm gonna have a look at that. We're gonna have this rattle around in our head whether we're going to use like the bootstrap off campus. Tailwind off campus. Wonder if yeah, like something like that just pops up. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. So I've got that rattling in my head whilst we do this. We're just going to reload, put everything back to how it was. There we go. Let's just get started. Let's go down here and start adding in linked objects. Now, we've also got to start thinking about how can I actually add linked objects in here. One thing which we could potentially do is have a search bar in there. So someone will start typing out something and it will search for that object. That is a possibility, and that way we can... Sorry, that way we can have it... Yeah, they just search for it, it pops up, they select it, it then adds it in. That's a possibility. So what I mean is there will be, I don't have my chord, I've got to find the chord. There'll be a drop down that says whether it's blocked or not, very much like the wizard itself. There'll be a little search here. And then hopefully I can get it to do the full thing in here. Like this. Like so. It is, you'll have all your results like this. And then when you click one of these, it'll automatically just add it into the table. And so forth like that. Now I've got to also think about accessibility. So if someone doesn't have access to the keyboard, being able to have them hit tab and get into that record and be able to scoot up and down to read that record and to be able to add that in by just hitting the enter key too. So we've got to implement that. This will be different to the Welk Select. It'll be different to the Welk multi-select. So it'll be NearBeach's own sort of component, which means it's one of those things where I'm kind of like, should I just put it into Welk? Should I just use the Welk multi-select? That, however, does a little thing because that will be connected to the Welk multi-select. We won't have... just deleted all those lines. All right, it'll look more like this, which is also fine. I'm at the end of the day, I'm not going to complain about that. So yeah. Oh, so big God, yours. Oh, sorry. So yeah, I've got that rattling around in my head too. All right, let's just close all tabs. Let's minimize everything. Let's just focus on the linked objects. We're just going to put in just a tester one. We're going to fill it out with dodgy code. And then what we're going to do is hook everything up. We just want the design out today, and then we'll hook everything up. So what I gotta do, I gotta go to source components. This is part of linked objects, which would be under object components. Linked objects. We've got linked objects like this. I'm just gonna get rid of this one right away. And I'm gonna start adding in our CSS down there because I know I'm going to change up a few things. So we know that subtext is there. That's perfectly fine. Connect project to other objects within NearBeach. We'll need to translate that. That will actually happen also today, so don't you worry. What I want to do is I want to create a new line, and I'm just going to go div class equals link object table. All right, so straight off the bat, what I'm going to do, display flex, flex direction is going to be a column because we want everything in a single column. The other thing that I probably want to do is I'm having a look at that. I'm having a look at this. Got to figure out what I want to do, what information I want. So another thing is I'm just going to have a div class equals link object singular. We're just going to do that. So that will be a absolute row. Then, so I drew the thing on my whiteboard, and then let's say I have project one over here. Then we'll have heading. I need to get that called. If I'm going to be drawing, I'm going to have to find that called. Then we'll have the heading, and then we'll have... This is where I'll probably also have the status here. And we'll see how... Actually, no. Actually, yes. Sorry. Changing my mind. I was thinking of having the ability for people to actually change the statuses here and so forth like that. Just in case... For example, you might be on a project, you might have a bunch of tasks and stuff like that. And you're like, all right, cool. I've finished all of these tasks. And that way you can do it in one area. We're going to play around with that tonight. It's not going to be hard. This is just going to be mock data at the start. So we'll have here being that will be the relationship. All right, easy done. And we'll also have the delete somewhere over here. That's my version of a trash can. All right. I'm not the best at drawing. So if we were to do this, we would split it up like that. And then within each component, there would literally just be a break here between those two. And that's how I would do it. Simple. Yeah, this would just be simple. All right. Oh, sorry, I'm just getting a big yard. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm also got to think about on mobile phone. Now, the thing is, what I could potentially do is not do this one line and actually add in a bit of padding over here and then get that trash can to float in this element. That would be pretty cool. Then, if someone clicks on it, it'll of course will delete this relation, but we'll have to ask for it and stuff like that. But it also means on mobile, what I can actually do is I can, let's say we shrink this. We're still going to have the pro. Status. Still got the heading. Which will probably take most of this. And then we will have the relation down here. But so if we do that where we don't have those three columns, this just becomes a simple flexbox situation where we've just got two columns, and then on mobile we'll do that, and then on desktop we'll do that. So yeah. That's what I think I have ever seen writing by hand. I do have a tablet. I've just misplaced the cord in my house. I'm left-handed, so actually doing this with my right hand, yeah, it's a slow process. So yeah. How are you doing, Martin? Oh, sorry, I read your name wrong. Martin. I'm terrible with new names. I'm terribly sorry. Martin's good? All right. How are you doing? All right, so what that means is if that icon is not necessarily connected anywhere, I can make it float here and people can still click on it, which will be good. I can even make it so it floats sort of in the corner and we'll have like a little background to it, so that way you can tell it's kind of there. We'll play around with all of this. So yeah, so that's the kind of design I've thrown up. It's not a big change from what we've already got with the old card design. So yeah, what we want to do, I'm going to go div, I'm just going to go class, I'm going to call this link object info is done. We'll, for the moment, we'll go p class equals subtext. Let's go how do we, I think we're just doing it like that. And then how did I want to set the status? You're doing good. Looking forward to a stream so I can co-work on my own project. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, it's pretty chill here. Unless I'm dealing with date times, in which case I just hate that and I get angry. I mean, we could do... Once again, I'm going to be playing around with the messaging and stuff like that here. Let's do header 3. My super secret project. All right, cool. And then I want to do div class equals link object status. This is where we're going to actually bring in the same status stuff we've used before. But now that I'm thinking about it, I've realized if we go back here, this status up here might actually be hard locked into the object status. So we might not be able to use it, but for the final product, but for us getting something out onto the screen and testing whether it looks nice, perfectly fine. It does not need to be perfect. What we need to do is we just need to visualize what we kind of want to get and then get to it. If we do something and we're like, it doesn't work, the only amount of time I've spent on this would be about 30 minutes. I know that 30 minutes and 10 seconds when I looked at the thing, which means I haven't wasted a lot of time making it perfect. All right, so I am having a think, trying to remember what the class is called. It is object status. Yeah, object status. All right, cool. And I think we just need to do that. And then, as you can see, this doesn't look good here at the moment, which is perfectly fine. We've just thrown this all together on here. I'm having a look at what things look like on this. We'll figure it out. All right, so first things first. What I want to do, so I want to minimize that so I've got most of my vertical space. We're going to have a look at the link objects. We're going to make that display flex. Flex direction is column. All right, cool. And then the next thing we want to have a look at is link object is done. So this is our object itself right here. And what I want to do is I want to go display flex direction, not column, we're going to go row. So instantly you can see this sort of sets up kind of like this. but not quite yet. I'm just going to hit refresh. I am building, right? Yes, yes, I am building. All right, we've got a couple of things that just aren't working out just yet. One thing which I'll probably do is actually, for the moment, we'll figure out if we want that in classes and stuff like that. So that's just going to be plain text. Probably just going to get rid of the subtext type of thing up here for the moment. I'm just simplifying this. We're just getting everything laid out and then working. Now, the status itself, because we've got linked object. I've made a mistake. Linked objects table. There you go. So that's looking a lot better. But as you can see, this is squished up here. We're dealing with the CSS. We're figuring this out as we go along. So what I want to do is, straight off the bat, I want to give this a class, and I want to call it... we'll call it info. I actually do want to make this a header 3. Maybe a header 4. It shows that there's something important about this particular thing here. I don't know why that's purple. Oh, I can't use info. Object info. And the H4 will be fine there. I mean, hell, I can get rid of that. That's fine. Because I can get to this and then that and that separately. So we're going to do that. We've got the linked object. From under here, we will have, oops. It'll be linked object. We'll have two linked object info, where we'll add some code in a second. And then we'll also have link object status, which what we'll do max width. I'm just going to put 100 pixels at the moment. This one will be width 100%. We're just doing that. But I can do a P here, and then I can go font size. We can do 0.5.rem, font width. Sorry, wait, not width. This will be lighter. We can also do our H4 down here. And we can go font size, be 1.2 rem. I like that. It's slightly bigger. Just that slightest amount. Font weight, we're going to go bold. Easy done. Now, we're also going to get rid of... we have got rid of most of the padding on there. I think that's a little too small, that font. So that's a little bit better. Okay, I'm just tweaking. Now, we do actually have some red text. That's from all because it's header. I'm going to say, for the moment, sure. Yeah, sure. We'll keep it in there just for the moment. Oh, I've just realized we're on a little bit of an ad break. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry, I do need to get some water. All right. Ooh, shit. Okay, I keep tripping over things. Let's get back into it. All right. Okay. There we go. All right, so looking good so far. The idea here is I'm going to put a little border around this card. So that will be at the linked object level. What we're going to do, we're going to have it as 1 pixel. We're going to have it as a light gray. And I'm going to have it solid for the moment. I mean, I do like that. However, I want to try something else. I kind of like that. Now, another thing that I've got to do got to do something like that. All right. Another thing that I've also got to do is get it so these feel like they're lined up properly, if that makes any sense at all. So this one looks a little bit taller, and I don't know why, and I think it's because this one, yeah, has some elements to it. We just need to tweak this now. But before I do any of that, I'm actually going to have a look at the mobile view first, where we're going to design this first on mobile and then get it to work. As you can see, it lines up perfectly fine with this. So, this is actually going to be column on mobile. Like that. Easy done. Now, another thing which I've noticed, we've got this render error message down at the bottom. That's normal. We do want that to appear. But it does give the bottom some space, and we've got the, now we did want this as compact, And what I could potentially do is pass. And hey, officially, Yapathan. How are you going? Yeah, alright. We are not exactly limited. What I could do... So, linked object status. Linked object status, anything that is welc, select, because that's what one of the classes is. We're going to go margin bottom is going to be 0. And that's it. That's how we bring that in a little bit closer. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that error down here, which is a font size of 1 rem. I'm going to add that padding to the top. So with the linked object, what we're going to do is we're going to go padding. Top is going to be 1 rem. Either sides are going to be 0.5 rem. Bottom's going to be 0. Just so we get something looking similar to that. Now, that feels good. Now, the other thing that I want to do is with the linked objects. Sorry, at the linked object table, I do want the padding bottom to be 2 rem. And that just gives us a bit of space at the bottom. That's all. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to give a little bit of space from this title to the status. The easiest way to do that would be just on here. What we could do is we can go margin bottom with 0.5. Let's try that out. I think that looks good. That way it separates out the status. We've still got this as super bold. Now this status label, this is just a placeholder at the moment. I'm just having a think. This will definitely be its own separate component. I'm just wondering if we can actually pass through a ability to get this down. So I think in this sort of case, what I mean is font weight will be lighter. Something like that. That way you can read that it's the status, but it isn't as imposing. And I think I'm going to have to do that, which will be fine. We can actually do that. Now, the other thing which I want to do, so we've got the welc select. I can actually do that here very easily. That will be font weight is going to be lighter. Font size, I think that will be good. Ooh, I might not be. Yeah, I'm not hitting that. All right, not a problem. So that will be welc select and then label underneath. So that will be welc select. We've got the margin bottom. And then we've got the label. I've also got to going to be width 100%. Just seeing if we've got access to it. We do. Just set the label. All right. So we've got the Welk select. Just going to put color, hot pink, important. I hate importance. Absolutely hate them. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm not getting to it. So that's part of the form group, Welk select, status compact. And I don't see hot pink in here at all. I'm going to hit refresh just in case I've done something. Yeah, we've got the margin 0, margin bottom 0. And yeah, it's just not wanting to get to the label. That's annoying. That's annoying. Okay. Not a problem. We'll figure it out a little bit later. I'm just going to move on for the moment. Yeah, I just can't get to the label. Yeah, so I've got it here. But yeah, I just can't scope it down any further. Which just means I've got to do this myself. Yeah, all right, no problem. So now that I've got this, that should be in compact mode. And it should be looking, yeah, somewhat like that. We can't get that any smaller, but what I can do, I can get that one bigger. Now, on mobile, having the title wrap a couple of lines, I think is perfectly fine. You're dealing with a lot smaller space. No, I don't like the 1.5. I think the 1.2 is good. And both of those will actually be hyperlinks. Now, one other thing which I do want to remove is with the padding bottom, I'm getting rid of that. I'm moving it there. Oh, sorry. Margin bottom. We're adding in margin bottom. The reason being is if I have another card, all right, let's call this project 3. let's say blocked. Hello world, I have created a new project, but the title of it is really long. Alright. So we've got something like this. Now the margin bottom actually separates these. That's looking really, really good. Now we don't have the status. That I'm not worried about the status. Status will be fine. We also want to add in the delete component, the delete icon. Now that can actually belong up in this corner, and we'll do that in a second. So we've got the object, and then what I want to do is I want to have a div class equals link object delete. We want Lexon view, not Lexon. What the hell is my icon library called again? The one I'm using for this. The seed. Alright. Let's go. Yeah, sucks. Alright. Sorry, sucks. I need my hand. Icons. Icons. Where are you? Icons. Let's go trash. I think a simple trash one will just do. Yeah, it's just trash. So what I want to do in here, I'm just going to go import trash from loose side view next. Easy done. Down here, yep. Is we want to go trash. We want to bind the width. I'm going to do that for the moment. This is fine. We just want it rendering out. I'm just going to paste that down there. Let's just us replicating what we're doing. Alright, so hasn't done anything yet. I'm just going to hit reload. Alright, cool. I'm looking at trash. It's trash icon. Cool, yeah. Okay, easy done. That's pretty big. Isn't it, Socks? You're like, yes. However, at the same time, I'm kind of happy with it. So down here, we've got that, and then we'll have .link object delete. And then we'll have display. It's not going to be flex. It is going to be ab. Oh, I thought it was meant to be ab. Oh, position. Absolute. Which brings it up into here, which is fine. So from here, this is where we've got to figure out how this will work. If we do something like that, that doesn't quite work. If we do it all the way to the right, if we go, whoops. If we go left 100%, and then minimize it, you can see it goes well off the screen. In which case, then you need to go calc 100% minus. Now, this is where we add in all the padding. So I think 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to go 2 rem. Like so. And then you adjust it a little bit better than that. So you would go, all right, well, 2.5 rem. That kind of lines up with stuff, but not quite. And then you just go 7.5. It is kind of lining up. It should be as simple as that. We also need to do a color red. I haven't done these ones as red yet. But that should be it for that. And it's pretty simple. Hey, the coding guy, how are you? She is right here. Hopefully you going well. Right, so what we want to do, we had this as left, calc 100% minus 2.75 rem. And there you go. That's all done. Look at that. And then we just need to add in the ability to click and stuff like that. We're probably actually going to also add in a bit of padding around that too. So I'm just going to refresh so we got a fresh page. I'm just going to click on that. I'm going to click on that. I'm just going to add in some padding. Socks your tail. I wish I could navigate all this with the keyboard so I can just hide the thing. So we're just going to go 1 rem. We know this is going to cause a lot of problems. Now the reason why we're doing the padding... Oh, socks! The reason why we're doing the padding is because of that purple color around the whole thing. That's what we want. So I'm going to have to add in another 2 in here. Oh, maybe just 1. There it goes. So that gets it kind of back. We've also probably got to do a top -1 rem. Maybe not with the top. All right, definitely not with the top then. I'll leave her on the camera. She's been somewhat good today. There you go, Socks. You're on the camera. There you go. Yeah. People are paying attention to you. How much is completed now? Not as much as I wanted. Nowhere near as much as I wanted. But the good news is I've started. This is designing this thing here. The great news is with the linked objects, all the backend stuff is the same logic. So that's going to be copied over, and hopefully it just fits in. Famous last words. Yeah. The documentation, this is... I'm happy with this particular design in here, so I'm going to be utilizing that and setting it up. Yeah, I just think this is... got to deal with this. Now, I'm thinking here, with the left, I'm going to go 100%. And you might be going, but that's crazy. Why? Because then I can do a transform. And then I can do a translate. And then I can go 3.75 rem. And then I can go 1 rem. And I've mucked it up. Alright. Broken everything. Not what I wanted. Should have done a negative. Oh, I can get that there. That actually looks really, really nice. Just because I like to program. Pretty much it. And I think getting an AI to do it and then me having to fix the AI would probably really annoy the hell out of me. There might be things which I might consider doing, getting help for example, the unit tests. However, at the end of the day, I won't treat AI like a crutch. I'll treat it like a tool. Meaning, if I do get it to actually help me with unit tests and stuff like that, I will learn from it. That way, I know exactly what it's doing and why it's doing it. And if I didn't have access to an AI, I can still do the job. And thank you very much for the follow. Use Renigmatic. Anyway, thank you very much for the follow. Use Renigmatic. Welcome. I do hope you are enjoying my content. How are you going? Alright, so I kind of like that. That's looking very nice and sweet, tucked up like that. Okay, let's have a look at what it'll look like if we tilt the mobile. So if we tilt the mobile, yeah, I kind of want it still looking in this sort of card format. Yeah, that's fine. Let's have a look at what it'll look like on a tablet. Where's my... What the hell? iPhone, what? Is... Ah, there it is. They moved it over there. Alright. They move stuff and I get confused. Let's have a look on a... Let's just go on iPad, normal iPad. Now, we can see the bins don't work, and that's just because all the padding and all that kind of stuff changes. So if we move it down to here, it is around about the 768. All right, cool. So that's where I need to start going into here and going into styles, variables, media variables. So I'm just going to put this over here for reference. Let's start adding in stuff. You lost your job in the month of April and waiting for a new... Oh, I'm sorry to hear the coding guy. That sucks. So, yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. And Dante, welcome back. Hopefully you're going well. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was implementing some changes. So, one of the changes... We're going to go down here with the object delete. Now, that would be on the 768. So this one here. We need to go at media. And then medium screen. We're going to change the transform. Now, I think it's going to be -4 REM and still the 0.5. Oh, so close. Yeah, I like that. All right, so that sits there. How am I today? I can't complain. Can't complain at all. Glad it's Friday. Oh, and we've just hit an ad on Twitch. All right, cool. We've hit an ad on Twitch. You get to see socks. Yeah, can't complain. Just getting this all done and sorted. Yeah. I'm hoping once we get this design done, we can then look at the documentation. I think the notes and comments is going to be pretty quick. And then the MISC stuff, we'll probably have a couple of things based off what we're doing in here. So, yeah. Alright, we've got about 45 seconds left of the ads. For those on YouTube wondering what's actually happening, I run ads on Twitch every half an hour to stop the pre-rolled ads because the pre-rolled ads suck. We tend to do this so no one misses out on any content. when I actually see that there's an ad break on. I do apologize when it doesn't happen. As you can see, Socks is she's getting her sternum scratches. Will she give me? Yeah, she is. She's giving me a couple of licks. But she's like, I can't lick you properly. There you go. There you go. Now she's giving me the proper licks. She's like, oh yeah. Alright, we've got about 5 seconds left of the ads, and then we'll jump right back into doing this design. I made a decision. The date time stuff is going to be very dumb. So I can actually show you, because it was really pissing me off the other day. So with the time, it'll come through as a string or a null, and what I do is I just pass it through. So if the person who is using Welk hasn't actually formatted the time correctly, it's not going to show properly. With the Welk date time, it comes through as either a string or a null. And then what I do is I actually watch the model. Yeah, I went really dumb. I think it didn't happen after I finished stream. It actually happened the next day. So it took me that long just to sort of process everything and go, you know what, screw it. I'm making these as dumb as possible. I'm literally telling people these are dumb components, all right? There's no smarts in there, all right? This is version 0. This particular one for the date time, what we actually do is we'll watch the model. If the model doesn't change or anything like that, if the model is null or is an empty string, there's nothing to do, we just return. That's perfectly fine. Otherwise, we convert it into a new date. We double check that the new date is something. If it isn't, we flat pack it. We actually tell the model that, hey, actually your value is going to be nothing, and sorry, the model ref is nothing, and the model is also value is nothing. Otherwise, what we do is we can convert it into a particular sort of format. We've got a bit of pad start to make sure that, you know, the hours have a 0 and out the front, appended out the front if it's less than 10. And then we add it into a model ref, and it's that model ref which gets pumped into the input. And that's how we do the conversions. So it's simple. It's very, very simple. And once again, if the person who is using Welk hasn't done the conversion and stuff like that, that's on them. We're not pumping through date times. We're not pumping through anything else where I have to handle that. We might do that in the future, but at the moment, very dumb. That's the motto of outtake time. Alright, getting back into this. So we've just done that. That has lined up perfectly fine. I'm loving that. Alright, cool. In a tablet mode, I'm going to keep it like this. I'm still happy with it being like that. It does... Ooh... It does get to the point I'm looking at this bottom one here where it does travel across the whole thing. It does get to that point where we're kind of like, this is the same width as this up here. Dumb, yes. Working, yes. yeah. So what I'm going to do on the tablet mode, I'm going to put the status up here. Oh, Jesus, I just threw the pen again. So, Link object status, the width is going to be 100% at the tablet mode. So we're going to go media, medium, screen. What we're going to do is we're just going to go width. We're going to go 30%, but we're going to have a max width of, and I want to keep this in REM. I'm just going to put 5 REM for the moment. All right. We know that's not going to work. Cool. We can just go then 15. That's looking really, really big, but not a problem. I'm going to put this back onto an iPad. Not a Pro, sorry. Just a normal iPad. There we go. That's fairly big. I think 12 is a good enough size. And then the next thing we want to do is, instead of being a flex direction column down here, we're going to go flex direction is going to be a row. So that way, all of a sudden, you've got this happening. And I think that lines up somewhat. Wow, that was a fluke. All right, I wasn't taking into consideration the trash can. However, that being said, also, I do want to move stuff away from that trash can. So when it's like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go padding on the right. We're just going to go, extreme 3. Oh, piss. We're going to go extreme 3. However, the 3 REM works. I was doing something extreme to see what will actually happen. Now, another thing that I was going to do in this mode is because we kind of want these to sort of look the same, is I was going to sort of truncate that text so it doesn't overflow constantly and stuff like that. Which is easy to do. On the mobile phone, just because we don't have a lot of horizontal space, I'm a bit lenient with that. Another thing which I could potentially also do is I could get rid of the margin bottom. But it does give us a thicker line here. But that's not a problem. We can easily fix that. That's piss easy to fix. What we do is for the first object, it will render out a border all the way around. For every other one, it will render only the left side, bottom, and right border. And the top border itself will be none. That's how easy it is. And that way it's sort of grouped together. Now the titles can get ridiculously large. Someone might type in something that just keeps on going forever. We are kind of purposely not making it a very, very long thing. So if someone were to keep going with this, yeah, I can see it happening. If you've got a couple of keywords, for example, you might have a client hyphen specific project under there hyphen and then a little short description or something like that. I do it with logging bugs and stuff like that. I might put the component in, do a hyphen, and then a short description of stuff. I can see it getting long. I do like this conjoined in like this on this form, whereas with the mobile, having it sort of separated out does help a little bit with the navigation. And it gives someone somewhere to put their thumb when they're scrolling too, because they don't want to click on this and they don't want to click on these here, because it'll literally take them to that place. And that's another thing. I'll be adding in hyperlinks to these very next. So yeah. All right. All right. Sorry, big yawn happened. This is on an iPad though. All right. So one thing I will change, I will keep the space on an iPad. The reason being is it goes with the mobile, with what I just said about the mobile, having some space to put your thumb and be able to scroll and stuff like that. There'll be enough sort of space for a thumb to actually fit here. That way you're not accidentally clicking on this. Yeah, all right. Because, yeah, both of these will be links. All right, I'm happy with this layout. Let's go into this one. Oh, our nothing disappeared. Not a problem. It's over here. Oh shoot! How am I going to do this one? Because yeah, we got left 100%. If I untick the left, and I just go right, not righty, right 0. Oh, it still does it over there too. All right. This one's going to be a bit of a trickier one to do, because what will actually happen, that whole section will expand. I can't... Yeah, I have to think about how I can get that to settle there. And I think I've got it. I think the easiest way to actually do that... I'm just going to hit refresh. So the easiest way to do that, if I just click on that one, these, if I get rid of the translate, if I get rid of the position absolute here, it lands there. In which case I can handle that. That's not going to be that's going to be fine. The link object, we can get rid of the padding right. And what I can do, I've got the delete object. Transform. Translate. I'm going to go -1 rem. Sorry. I think that's it. I think when it gets to this size, we're just going to let it, because this is a whole row now. We don't need to absolute the hell out of that. We can go, all right, cool, boom, this is what it's going to be like now. And I think that's the solution. That also gives me the ability to also add in a little bit of extra padding again and move it slightly a little bit over, because we want to have a bit of separate distance between these two. The object delete also should have a bit of padding, where we're just going to go 1 rem just for shits and giggles for the moment. It will be more like that, because someone's using a mouse to do this. If we do, that will be 0.75. And it's going to be like that. All right. I like that. Except what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that slightly back a little. Okay, so what we're going to do, back down to the link object delete, we're going to figure out when this breakpoint actually happens. It will happen around about the 1025 mark. So on the large screen. So we're going to go at media, large screen. We're going to go and we're going to go position. Relative, I think. Just gonna refresh. God, it's disappeared, hasn't it? All right. Gonna be inherit. Oh. Left none. Oh, actually, no. That will disappear. That will be fine. It'll be the transform will be none. Or none, maybe. Oh, this is where I'm mucking it up. Definitely mucking this up. Yeah, that's all the way over there. Oh, inherit. Yeah. So we'll need inherit. I'll also need to get rid of that padding I did just before, the padding right on the link object. So on the medium screen, we've got the padding right being all like that. What we're going to do, media, we'll have the large screen. And then I'm just going to go padding right. We're going to move it back to 0. Right. Yep. All right, cool. So that squeezes that in like that. The next thing I want to do is on this screen, what I want to do, padding is going to be 0.5 rem all the way around. So just in case someone clicks just slightly off that thing, I still want that to pick up. Now that we've done that, I've just got to shift this where I want it. So if I go transform, translate, and I'm going to go 1 rem. Realize that's not what I want. 0.5. Oh, that's looking perfect. And then if I want to go -1 rem. Ooh. That's looking great. I think that's perfect. That way, there's a little bit of space in between this and this button. Gives the user a little, space between the icons and stuff like that. Now, if I then do this larger and larger and larger, that works perfectly fine. I'm going to do this on my big wide screen. That's looking perfect for me. Cool. Now, I can probably get that icon looking a little bit smaller than that. Now that I see it, I see the width being 24. Let's do that. Now, I know the instant I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to redo the whole entire thing and be like, Let's hope I don't. Because I've got... That's the link objects. There's the trash icon. Oh, I do it in CSS. All right. Yep, so down here, I'll have SVG, and that's where I do it. All right, so we're going to have to do that. So that will actually be under the link object delete. So if we go down here, we've got the linked object delete. I'm just going to go like this and do something like that and go SVG. I'm just going to go width is going to be... We're going to pick 18 for the moment. It's a little bit smaller than what's up here. That's fine. We're probably going to shrink these icons in a bit too. So, yeah. Another thing which I'm going to do... is this will actually be part of this. Is and hover background color hold on. I'm going to see what we actually do everywhere else. Document links, hover, folder list, nav menu, group access, hover, secondary color. All right. Yeah, I just needed to double check. Oh, I'm just going to grab that one. I did a spelling mistake. The idea being is someone could be like, oh, okay, cool. That does something for me. However... we should be coloring it red because it would be a dangerous sort of item. All right. We're not going to worry about that just yet. What we're going to do is we're going to leave it like that. And we're going to have a think about how we can actually improve that. You know, I don't know why it's not coloring out the padding, but that's perfectly fine. All right, so I like this look. If we bump back down into, let's go, iPhone 6 is the smallest screen size we're going to be dealing with. Actually, let's, trying to remember what my size screen would be. We can test. Let's just test. Let's just test with a couple of other real applications and stuff like that. But first, iPhone SE. All right, cool. We'll test with this one too. Yeah, that's looking good. It's looking good. Do we need to... I mean... we could move it over a pixel or two, but that being said, I'm going to say, nah, it's fine there. And that's a little bit more noticeable, but that's fine. The user can click right there and it should click that. Oh, I'm editing the wrong one. Oh, this is what I mean. When you make these sort of changes, sometimes you have to come back and be like, oh, I just changed the size of something. Does that mean I'm gonna change everything? And they're like, yeah, it does. All right. Let's just change this. All right, so this will become 2.5. That will become 5. I'm just gonna refresh. That's fine. Bump this over like this. That's fine. Bump over like this. Oh. You're saying a little close to the edges for the small one? I can bring it out. That's not going to be a problem. Do you think that will look a little bit better on the phone? And thank you for the feedback. Designing ain't my strong suit. So if I do that like that, I'm just going to hit refresh because I've done a bunch of little tiny tweaks. So where's that gone? Oh. Oh God, it just disappeared. What did I do? I didn't copy the... Oh my God. All right. So we actually had that as that. And then we had that, if memory serves me correctly. And if I go in here, that's looking a lot better. All right, cool. And if I rotate it, that's still looking really, really good. So it's not directly on the edge. It's a little bit more... Oh, wait. I think I'm a little close to the edges. All right, yeah, don't. Then in here, we could do something like that. So on a tablet, it's not so close. And when we rotate this, that means we've then got to modify this one slightly. Oh, wrong one. I think that would be good. Oh, one other thing that I wanted to do, when it's on this screen, I did want to get rid of the margin bottom. So try and remember where that one is. So we've got the margin bottom 2 on a large screen. We've got the padding, and then we're going to go margin bottom is going to be 0. REM? 0. We don't need the REM for that. That way it connects it like this. Now, another thing is we've got to deal with the border. So when it's this screen, we're going to go and first child is... Don't have the same details as that. We're just going to paste it in like that and be like, that's fine. However, with this one, what we're going to do is we're going to have border bottom. Sorry, border top. Going to be none. all of those. So that, there you go. That line's no longer thick, which is great. Oh, I've just realized that we're in an ad break. Terribly sorry. There we go. We get to pat socks for a little bit more. Is that right? All right. Sorry, I did miss a bit of the ad break. What we'll do is, well, we've got 15 seconds left of the ads, so I do apologize. There you go. She's like, hey. All right. Just having a good think. All right. Welcome back, everyone. So that's looking a lot better. That's a lot tighter on the desktop. Yeah. I'm just wondering, is there an at last? Yes. All right, cool. We're just going to add in some margin at the bottom. That's just to make that look a lot nicer. And yeah, now someone can actually start changing all of this. I do like this look. Now, like I said before, we're not changing the status in here. That is something we can sort of implement in this. I'm not going to do. All right. So that's going to be the look for that. Now we just got to implement it. So yeah, I'm happy with that design. Let's go into the view. Let's go into Pinia. In the object itself, you'll see that we don't actually have any of that information whatsoever. What we will need to do is on mount, we will need to contact the API. We'll need a suspense in here that just says that fetching data or something like that. Something that notifies the user that we're getting data. I've also got to start translating this. I've also got to wire it up so if someone changes how it's connected and stuff like that, yeah, got to start doing all that. I won't use the browser stack stuff just yet. Alright, give me a couple of seconds. What I'm going to do is I am just having a quick think. There's not much to translate in this one. It's just this here. These were just put in willy-nilly. And I'm just wondering if I do a child component for those. However, that being said, it does mean I get rid of a lot of CSS in here and put it into a child component. But it also means I've got to fill out it with all the props like the title and all that kind of stuff. Whereas there's not much space in here. In reality, it ain't complicated. I can keep it in here. Worst case scenario, I can put it down into its own component in the future. So yeah. Let's get into the translation stuff. So very similar to let's open up object priority and stuff like that. So welk select a, is that not being used in here? That is being used in here. Why are you having a problem with it? I don't know. It's working though, and I don't. Yeah, I'm just going to ignore that issue. So we'll need the petite this. So I'm just going to go over here. We're just going to do this. We're just going to go down here. We're going to go define internationalization. We're going to go const t equals use internationalization. In here, we're just going to go messages. We'll go to our English one. Connect object or connect current object to other objects within NearBeach. That's pretty much it. And then this is JA. We're just going to use Google Translate for this. Oi! Oh, all right. Give me 2 seconds. Easy done. And then all I need to do down here is just go T message or text, I should say. Well, that's meant to be in the squiggly mustache brackets. There we go. That's pretty much that translation done. Very quick, very simple. We can jump into Chrome and see that in Chrome. So if I jump in, there you go. Pretty cool. I'm not going to worry about these particular ones down here because once again, if someone's typing in Japanese, let's actually do a project. Let's go project like that. It'll pop up as the proper Japanese down here. The statuses themselves, those are customizable. So this, so you guys can actually not see that. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry, these statuses are customizable. That being said, this will be very similar to this one up here where we handle that translation because it'll be set in stone what this is. So yeah. Okay, no problem. I'm just going to close that. We're going to go over here. Yeah, so we do need one thing in here. Sorry, one child component needs to be added. All right, linked objects. Let's go bang, bang to that. Let's close that off. Object component. Linked objects. What we're going to do is I've got to think of a name. This is the hardest part in programming. Thinking of a bloody name. So this will be... Let's actually have a look at what we actually currently do. So let's go to demo.nearbeach. We've logged in. We're going to scroll down to the linked objects. If we create a new link, let's say we do requirements. Requirement items. That's the tasks. The relationship. Relationship link. All right. That's going to be compositional. what I want to do is I want to open up the object priority, because it's going to be very similar to the object priority in the sense that if I just, oops. Fuck off. Sorry, excuse my French. You'll see in here with the object priority, these are set in stone, which will be the exact same sort of thing. Instead of having a priority list, it'll be called something else. Essentially, this will be built up using the same sort of method and so forth like that. This will be called relationship link. Straight off the bat, what we want to do. Oh. I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. The styles, that is. I'm going to worry about this. So, in NearBeach, currently, what we've got is we've got relates to. Pretty simple. Is blocked by. Is currently blocking. Is sub-object of. Is parent object of. Has duplicate object, or is duplicate object of. Easy done. And we've got a priority list, and that's how we add it in, and we've got all the values and all that kind of stuff. So if I have a look at this, yeah, this is all compiled in, so I can't actually have a look at what these are, but if memory serves me correctly, depending on what value this is, depends what I actually send to the backend and so forth like that. We'll have a look at the current code, because we're actually going to copy that same sort of methodology. It works, it's great. Implementing it at the API level is going to be super easy and super convenient. Yeah, it's what we're going to do. So, how am I going to do this? It's going to be exactly the same like this. We've also got messages. So when we're actually updating the thing, it's going to send a message through, very similar to this. So we've got the class status compact. That's actually going to not be that. That's actually going to be relationship link compact. Easy done. We'll have a label passing through, which, yep, all right, cool. So I'm going to start from the top, work my way down. I don't know why priority success, where has that been used? Ah, status. Oh, yeah. All right, cool. Cool. So we're going to go top, bottom, and then I'm going to put it in alphabetical order. Relates to. Oi. Try hitting that button. So what relates to is blocked by. Is currently blocking. Is sub-object of parent object has duplicate object of is duplicate object of. All right. This will be relationship success and updating. All right, so I'm happy with those particular fields. We'll update the Japanese in a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down here in a particular order. So we want relates to, this will be is blocked, blocking by, is blocked. It's currently blocking, sorry. Is sub-object of, is parent object of, oops. And has duplicate object of, is duplicate object of. And that's pretty much it. I've just got to make sure that these values go up in value. Now I can put these in alphabetical order. All right, relates to. That's going to go there. Is blocked by, is currently blocking, is sub-object, element OPQRS. So that's going to be like that. H goes up to the top. And that's going to be like that. And then that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then what we do is we're just going to copy this and once again just go into Google Translate and yeah, we just got to do this. Right. And there it goes. So that's how we connected it all up. Now we've got to go through this. It's no longer the priority model. It is going to be, that's going to be delete before, that's going to be relationship model. The state's perfectly fine. That's the relationship list. We've got the object meta store. Yeah, cool. We've got the object store. Yeah, object store. State priority value. this is different. So, one thing is, this data won't be... it'll be stored in... No, it won't be stored in the store, because we don't need to. It will be stored in the parent component, the link objects. With the idea that if something changes, we just bump it up and so forth like that. All right, cool. So I'm no longer using the object store for all of this. So the object store.subscribe, mutate state, and all that kind of stuff, we don't care. We're passing this down through props. So internationalization, define props, const props equals define props. And then here, we're going to have index. There's going to be type number and required equals true. Right? That's just going to make life easier for us. So we're going to pass down the index that this is on the whole column of things, which row this is. That way, if we delete it or we change something, we're like, update this, remove this, and so forth like that. So it's a lot easier doing it that way. Yeah. So much easier doing it that way. The next thing that we want to pipe down, because this will be the relationship link, that will actually be the model itself. So that will be the model. By default, it's going to be 0. That's perfectly fine. That's going to be the relates to, or good. The state, yep, that's going to be zeroed off. The props, that's going to be the index. All right, cool. The priority modal. That's when we're changing stuff. Sorry, I'm just having a good think about how I want to handle this. Because I don't have any on changes here, and I'm not, because these are dumb components, I'm not forcing that up. So yeah, we do have to have a look at the relationship model. So we've got the new value. If new value equals 0, do nothing. Oh. Oh, but these are... that's where we're storing it and stuff like that. Oh no, wait. If I change it, oh, all right. I'm just having a think. The problem is on mount, it's going to give a value. This watch is going to trigger. We don't kind of want that. In which case, I can add in a status to ignore everything. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, sorry, be gone. I'm just going to hit refresh. We're going to undo that. We're going to move that to the right. So what it's saying is if the priority goes to 0, which is the highest, do I still send stuff out? Yes, I still send stuff out because if I have a look at the route view, base project page, properties component, anonymous component, object priority, that reference is a 0 and not, all right, cool, that will work. So if it's in quotes 0, there's nothing to do. But these are numbers, so it has to be without the double quotes. All right, we're not double checking anything, so we'll have new value, old value. Like this. All right. So if they haven't changed, we just go, yeah, cool, piss off. We've got the relationship updating. We've got the relationship list. We're passing through the new value. If it's undefined, we'll have to do the proper handling of errors and stuff like that. That will be happening very shortly. We can have a look at what to do. Now, object store wise, we're not using a store for this because it'll actually, I don't see us needing to actually store this information up at that object level, just because it's only in one place. We're not referencing it anywhere else. That's pretty much it. If a user were to, let's say, add other listings, other links and stuff like that, we'll get the backend to handle what potential objects they can do. So we'll get the backend to do all of that work. All right, cool. So down here, what we've got is, then we've got the save the data. This is what we need to flesh out. We haven't actually fleshed out any of this. I'm quite literally just going to do this for the moment. The reason being is we need an API endpoint. We need to look at what we've done and so forth like that. So I think that should be fine with the relationship. So if it boots up, that is a secret way of going, nah, don't do nothing. That will do something. This will save the data. This will be a relationship list. Relationship model. We need a required. And yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that. We will need that though in the very near future. When we implement this, but we need to implement the backend first. So with this now, and then this is where I'm like, where are we storing the model? I just realized that when we change the model, that's in a for loop, and sorry, I'm racking through my brain the cons and pros and cons of pushing through that status as a proc. And then that way, when someone changes the value, the model changes and we just send that up. That way, we don't have to deal with modifying the data upstream. However, we've got to store that data somewhere upstream. It's best to modify that data, in which case it is best to actually then implement this at the store level. Sorry. Because then I can just modify the store. And it should just pass all that information back down without a problem. In which case, then now I've got to re-implement the store. It's a couple of lines. I'm not too fussed about that. We'll need an action because I will be modifying a particular line. Yeah, all right. So, I think we've gone as far as we can with the front end at the moment. We do need to actually figure out what the API is going to be like. The reason being is, and I'm just realizing that my camera is really starting to fall back. You guys just don't need to see the balding spots on the top of my head. We need to know how the API is going to work, because from there it depends how I'm going to implement all these changes. Because I'm kind of leaning on putting this in a store. That way, but then again, do I need it in the store? I only need to render it out once. And then manipulating it is just going to be local at every single component. But that data that we've downloaded belongs somewhere, and then it syncs out. Also, having that information in the store would be good, because that way I can use it in other different places if required. It'll also be good to actually have all the data in one spot. And pinning it nowadays makes that really super simple. But then again, do we want to actually include all that data up there when it's only going to be used in one place? The benefit of a store is that it can be accessed from everywhere. You don't put everything into a store, though. View Pinia, put all data into store. Is that a good idea? Question mark. No, putting all your data in the Pinea store is generally considered a bad idea. There you go. While Pinea is officially recommended state management, it is designed for global state rather than serving as a catch-all for every piece of it. Yeah, there you go. It's just handling... See, it makes sense when you're dealing with the priorities in the states and stuff like that, because that's used in different places. This is all the object data. You will use that in multiple different places. The group access and stuff like that, that might not be in the store. That might, once again, be at a very local sort of level. Yeah, so in this sort of case, I'm leaning back on keeping that data at a local level. And then doing one of two options. Option one. We pass the initial value as a proc. All right. From there, what we actually do is we then pump that proc into a ref variable that we control. And that way, when the person updates their stuff and stuff like that, it's that ref that gets modified and not the proc itself, as the proc's only read-only. All right, so that's option one. Very easy to do. It also means that the data up at the parent component will get out of date. Which can lead on to bugs and issues like that. So, for example, if someone deletes something, we might need to re-render that whole section, which then it'll render in the old information and so forth like that. So, not ideal. The alternative to that is if someone deletes something, it actually fetches the new list from the backend and just overrides it, and that should have the updated data. The option 2, which is what I'm leaning on right now after saying all of that, is implement the CRUD functionality in parent, and pass model through. Which I honestly think is going to be the easier option. And we can do a couple of quick tests for this too. Yeah, so the idea is, if someone makes a change, it feeds that change up into the thing. That way it keeps the data in the parent fine. That way if someone deletes a row, it doesn't use the old converted values because all those values would be updated. I'm kind of liking that idea. So what do we have to do? I want to do a test first. But the test requires us to delete one of these. I'm also going to do test data equals ref. We're going to have a 1 and a 3. We're going to import this. That's perfectly fine. I'm just going to cheat. I'm just going to be like, boop. We've got a 1 and 3 down here. What we want to do is we want to bump that down into a new line, that into a new line. We're going to go v4. We'll need item and index of test data.values, like so. We're not going to do that. It's going to be relationship lunk. Index is going to be the index, and item's going to be sorry, that's going to be the v model is going to be the item. We're also going to do it like that. So that's all good and dandy. We've got the relationship. Yep. All right. Cool. That should, in theory, hopefully... Ah, it's broken. No. Ah, because we don't have... Oh, yeah. vModel cannot be used for a v4 or vslot scope variables because they are not writable. All right, cool. That answers out one of our questions. But I still want to hydrate the parent slot. And that involves us doing some fun stuff. All right, cool. That's fine. What I'm going to do then is we're going to go... I have a little thing about what I'm going to call this. So we got the index. We've got to do that. Going to be a type number required is going to be true. Relationship model. That's going to be relationship. Sorry, props.relationship. Like that. Now, it's going to... Ah, shoot. Sorry, I've just... I want to get this one right. Because if I get this one right, I know I'm going to be using this sort of pattern in a bunch of other places where I've got a for loop and I've got to control data and... Yeah, it's going to get annoying. All right. There you go. I'll polish this up in a minute. Because once again, I need the API to determine if these are going to be numbers or if they're going to be strings and all that kind of fun stuff. I know that it needs to be a... oh, I can go as a number down there, which means that this up here can actually be a number. In which case I can then get rid of that. The state is going to be a string. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Which means I can now get rid of that, but I'm going to put console log watch was triggered. I don't want this triggered when this loads up. I want it triggered when we do a change, but not when it loads up. So I'm hoping having it set like this is not going to trigger that, and it'll be a hunky-dory. Now, if I go to linked objects, we've got something like that. We've got a for loop in here. That's going to render out those two components. vModel cannot be used. All right. Oh, you're kidding me, right? Also, that should be relationship model. Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. We don't have anything here. I'm just going to hit refresh. We've got console. We've got nothing in here whatsoever. Why? Because of that, the fucking AI. Alright. Cool, this is coming along. We've got is blocked by. If I change that is to relates to. Not found label in key n local message. All right, cool. That's just a translation. We'll fix that up in a minute. Because I need to fix the label up. All right, so we need to go in here. Actually, I'll fix it up right now. What I'm going to go a relationship. I don't know what that is in Japanese. Alright, cool. Let's reload this. Label key in EN local messages. It's meant to be at this level. Sorry, wrong level. That was my bad. I'm just going to reload. We shouldn't have any warnings. Sweet. We've got new value 5. That's part of the watch status. New value 5. Oh yeah, that's because we get the data after a certain time. Alright, cool. I'm just going to hit refresh. Sorry, I'm just double checking everything's going to be working. So, in here, let's say we go, that was relate. Alright, watch was triggered. I'm going to move this off to the left. I'm going to hit refresh again. Notice how we don't have watches triggered until I actually make a change. And if I move this back to the right, we can see that the status is working there perfectly fine. That's perfect. All right, cool. I'm liking the look of that. Sweet. So this is working how I want it to. So what will actually happen is... it'll come down here. It won't hit the watch when it sets everything up. It'll loop through everything. I'll also... So I'm just having a think. Yeah, I'll definitely need to actually update it at the link object side of things. So up here, we've got test data. We're going to remove that in a minute because we're going to work on the API side of things now. Because what I want to do is I want to get these values from the API. And also down at the bottom, we're going to implement how you're going to add in these links. So yeah, that'll happen next. There'll be another one of these down there where you'll be able to click on it and there'll be a search one too, which... So I'm having a quick think. Oh, it's just Mac socks. Sorry, I'm still thinking how to that. But I think I'm jumping way too ahead. Let's get back to this. Let's deal with the API. Let's get that feeding data into here. Let's fetch that data. Let's make sure that we've got a loading state. So if we haven't fetched the data, we're going to be like a little loading state being like loading. Please wait. We need all the data here first before you start actually doing anything. All right. So API. Give me a second. Duplicate tab. Actually, no, I want to have a look at the GitHub. Because this is dealing with the old code that I've deleted. Hey, Max. This will be part of the NearBeach. This will be part of the views. This will be part of the API version 0, which is in here. This will be part of... I think object data. It'll be part of the link API view. And yeah, we've got the link serializer, we've got the methods and all that kind of stuff. So the good news is we've already decided how we kind of want to set this one up. And even better news is some of this will actually be copied. Because it's the same method that we're utilizing. Alright. And we do have destroyed. So we removed the object. Oh, and we always sent back data. Whereas in this sort of case, I'm not going to send back data. Maybe in a few cases where you add something in, let's say you add something in, you want that sort of data structure to actually appear. But with removing, no. The list we will definitely, of course. Updating, no. Because we'll do that locally. So we've got the get list, and a lot of this is going to be simplified too. The permissions will be like this whole permission sort of structure will be simplified, actually, really simplified, which is great. We won't need the object structure anymore because it's all generic nowadays. All right, cool. So if I go into here, let's just duplicate this tab. What the fuck happened then? API version 0. I think this is objects, if memory serves me correct. Actually, I'll tell you what. Do we actually hit it? Do we actually hit this one? Object data project 2. Object linked list. Yeah, we do. We hit it as a post. So, I'm just going to copy that URL. Yeah, method not allowed. We hit it as a post for some strange reason. I'm just focusing on the URL itself. We've got object data, and then we got like project 2 and object linked list. This gives us the chance of actually not having an overly crazy sort of data like this. We can still have it. No, I'm glad I stopped when I did. We might have it. Yeah, all right. Let's have a. Oh, sorry, be gone. Let's have a look at our URLs currently. This is the second hardest thing you got to pick. Is like, how am I going to get this information? Now, this isn't internal. This will be publicly documented and stuff like that. So we currently just have project in there. Now, when fetching all of this data and stuff like that, in the olden ways, we used to just have object data, destination and all that kind of stuff, and then that sub information that we wanted. And that's something we could potentially continue with doing. It's not ideal. I'm just trying to think of a good URL. I mean, we can still go with like the project and then that, and then have it go down the thing. But at the same time, actually having a specific place that we're going to fetch that data would be so much better. We're not dealing with it at the list sort of level. And we need to double check all the permissions. Technically, we could put it under object data again. It is a subroutine. Yes. I'm just having a look at all of my sort of stuff at the moment. I forgot a password. Alright, cool. That's perfectly fine. Because when I implement this, I've got to implement the same sort of pattern everywhere else. We're not going to change the API that much after we implement it. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I forgot the ads are over now. There we go. So originally, yeah, we had this long URL where we've got object data, then we've got the destination, the location ID, and then the sub routine, which would be object linked list. It wasn't the only one that actually had that. We also did that with a bunch of other different things. So if I just hit refresh, we did that with the groups and users, which we'll need to set up. So we did that with the group and users, the object list, which is what we're focusing on, the customer list or the customer list, the tag list. We won't be doing that with the custom list anymore because we can implement a search functionality. Less data that the user gets at the start. Because, yeah, with NearBeach, without the, if I untick that and I reload everything, I mean, that's fine. 5.15 kilobytes. That's just all this data. We've also got all the notes and all that kind of stuff coming through. Technically, all of that belongs as object data. And what that used to originally do was sort of say, hey, this is actually object data, this is the destination, this is the location, this is the data, the specific data you wanted. We're not going to put any of this within the main data source as it's a secondary sort of list. Putting it in that main source will also slow down that main source. The idea is the main source will just load up what we want and everything else is secondary from there. Alright. If I duplicate this tab and I go API version 1 and we go project and we go 1. So I don't need all the links in here. I don't need to fill this out with any more information. And that's where object data sort of did its job. And there's all of that too. We also have available data, which we did, which was the customer list API, the sprint list API, and the tag list API, which we've moved. So we've moved the tag API stuff somewhere else. That's actually included in with the initial data source, and that's also a thing I'm doing. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. Because I've got the user initial data. And that's meant to get all the types and all of that kind of stuff. All this information over here, like the status and so forth like that. Alright. Which means how am I going to get this linked data? Well, how am I going to set it up? I'm kind of leaning on keeping the old URL. So object data, it's telling us this is the object data and so forth like that. The reason why all of these other ones were separated out was because they'd been called from other different components instead of doing it from one place. In this sort of case too, Another option would be to add it as extensions on an already existing endpoint, but the problem is I then need to store that data somewhere else, and it's a secondary piece of data, so we don't care if it loads in later. So I'm leaning on still having object data. I'm still going to have it separated out. So for example, the note list, the sprint list, and so forth like that. And the reason being is eventually, and I'm hoping this can actually happen. Eventually, the idea being is you land on this, linked objects load in, all of this gets this data, and it doesn't load anything from the documentation notes and MISC until you actually click on them, and then it'll load in that information. The idea being is it will only load in what you need, what is being seen here. Which also reminds me is so organizations do come through, but I'm not filling out the customers. Which might be one thing I need to actually fill out. But I'll get to that later. All right, I'm thinking way too far. I'm thinking of other parts of that page when I should be focusing just on this. So, getting back to this design, the idea is linked objects will load in. It's going to be a separate call because essentially I want this to boot up as fast as possible. Stakeholder will load in perfectly fine. The customers will load in as a secondary request, perfectly fine. That will be data that will be in the state, but the customer data will be local. Easy done. We're not fussed with that. The group access and user access, that will be another call too. That's secondary data. That can wait. And then if I sorry, I'm just navigating away and then I'm navigating back. If I delete all of that, navigate away, delete all that, click on that, it's requesting a very small amount of data, which is great news for us. And I'm just wondering, all right, I think I've done enough wondering. So I'm going to have object data. So object data. Oh, I'm just wondering if they should be query strings. Wow. That was weird. Thing is, it's not really... We want the user to set those particular values, which is why I'm leaning on having them in the URL itself. I might change the URL just a little bit. So it'll be object data, link, and then project, and then to. Or I should say link list. I don't need to repeat object over again. I think that would be good enough. Sorry, I dropped my pen. All right. This is not internal API, this is public API. I'm just going to close all tabs. Yep, just close everything. All right, we're going to minimize everything. Fresh. What I want to do, I want to go into NearBeach. We want to open, oh, I just remembered that I'm not doing something. There we go. All right. So we've got the URLs. Let's determine the URLs first. API public. So we've got two in here like this. There'll be project. And Tantai, how are you going? Hopefully you're going well. Now, we've got the router, we've got the view sets like this. We're allowing particular methods. I want to be able to do a lot of the CRUD. We've got the list, got partial update, we've got the retrieve. So we want to do the retrieve. We don't want to do the list. So we'll have the get for the retrieve, the post for adding one in. In this sort of case, we won't need a patch, but we will need a delete. So it'll be very similar to this in the sense that the URL will be object data link list. Oh, I need to pass through the destination. In which case, then I need the query string. In which case, I need to double check that I'm doing this correctly. All right. I want to create an API endpoint for Django REST framework. Essentially, I want to have the endpoint like API version 1, object data link list destination location ID where destination can be either project, task, requirement, item, requirement, and the location ID can be an integer. Will applying this method work, or should we move the destination and location ID into query strings where we check that they exist before fetching data? I just need to know if this is a good idea. Recommended implement approach for the structure using the URL part is considered ideal. All right. It says it's ideal. Explicit mapping, it's clear which endpoint fetches the data for specific objects. Easy validation, you can determine that the string gives you da-da. All right, cool. If the API endpoint needs support additional filtering, type equals project, query strings are better. In this sort of case, we're not technically filtering. Mandatory resources, stick to, yeah, for an endpoint identifying a distinct mandatory resource, stick to path parameters. Yep, all right, cool. If the endpoint acts as filterable search, no. So these are definitely required. So, all right, cool. Getting back into this. I'm just going to copy this line. We're just going to put it in here. We're just going to comment what we need. So we'll have object data link list followed by a string, destination, followed by an int, location ID, like so. All right. I'm happy with that. Then I've just got to register that route. Hopefully that works. And then I just need to look up Django REST framework, route variables. So I'll put this off to the right. We'll shrink it down. Yep, that's perfectly fine. All right, custom rejoin the routes. No. I'll just type in. All right, we'll probably go through. I probably skipped it. So usage, yeah, we're currently doing all of that properly. I'm probably also going to sneeze. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry about that. That took a while. Down here, there are two mandatory arguments to the register method, prefix and viewSet. All right, cool. Optionally, you may also specify, so base name, all right, cool, query, sample will generate the following URL patterns. All right, cool. All right, yep. Include with routers. All right, yep. Routing for extra actions. VueSet may mark extra actions for routing by decorating with the @action. Route these. All right, yep. All right, cool. URL pattern. PK set pass. Oh. All right. So I'm just having a think. Routing for extra actions. A VueSet may mark extra actions for routing by decorating a method with the action decorator. All right. So, for example, I might have... Duplicate this tab. I'm just going to go API version 0, project 17. Oops. API version 0, project, oops. 17. The fuck? Oh, API version 1. Ugh. Project 17. All right, and then we could potentially in here add it on and go link list up in here. That might work for us. It means that we've then got to implement it in multiple different spots. But at the same time, it means I've got access to certain data. So I'm just racking this through my head, being like, this might actually be how we deal with this. That way, all the URLs are sort of somewhat contained in one spot. And it's something we could play around with. So I'm just racking through all the problems in my head. So I'll need to do a couple of things. So I'll need the CRUD. So I'll definitely need to create. I'll definitely need to read. Actually, I don't need to update, and I definitely need to delete. It also means that because it's set at a project level, I'm not limiting something else out. It also means that I can easily document this to users, being like, this is how you would get this information. The only downside I can see is I need to include this functionality in other points, and it'll be pretty similar code. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna have it like this. So I'm gonna use this sort of thing, the add action. That way we can have a def. We'll have the PK. Which means I get all of that. And when I go to delete something, I'll just need to test that out. We can actually do a quick test with that. Alright, I like that idea. And that way I'm editing this one too. So we've got the create. We've got the destroy. We've got the list. We'll have the link item. So we'll still need this destination permissions check. This decorator here. We'll need the at. Now they're saying use the action. This will be methods equals just the get. Detail. I don't know what the detail in details. It's gonna go true. And this will be link list. And I need to import this. This is where I've got to go back to my code. So in my code, link API view, we've got the get list. This is just object-all assignment and stuff like that, where pretty basic sort of stuff. In this sort of case, it'll be mostly just us passing through the location ID and stuff like that. What I want to do. I just want to do that. And I want to do that. Then in the front end, I want to hit this. We've just hit this. We've got the PK of 17. Awesome. Ah, and we're in an ad break. Alright, so yeah, I've got a good plan. If this works, it'll be great. And then I just need to get that information, the link list. So we just need to get, we just need to create. So we'll have a get, we'll have a post, and we'll have a delete. Now, I've just got to see if we can actually do that. Override those, override all of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's just going to be yanking that. And that will be a post. And that will be a delete. And that will be a read and edit. That will also be an edit. All right, cool. We'll have a test in a second about those other two. I'm just going to make sure that this actually works and that we land in the correct spot. We've got about 15 seconds left of the ads, and then, yeah, we'll test this out very, very quickly and see how it goes. And, yeah, and then... what else do we need to do? Alright, welcome back, everyone. So, what I've done is I've created the same sort of thing with different methods. I don't know if this will cause problems. We're going to find out. Alright, I'm going to go back over here. I'm just going to hit refresh. Method get not allowed. Boo. So, yeah, that's not going to work for us. I think we're going to do something like this. And method get not allowed. All right, so yeah, it doesn't like that. So I'm going to do that. We've got the primary key. I don't know. I'm just used to ID, SID, and so forth like that from .NET. SID. All right, cool. That can equal none. All right, so that worked. But what if that $sign was something? By default, the URL pattern is based on the method name, and the URL name is a combination of VueJS base name and the hyphenated data. If you don't want to use the defaults for either of these values, you can instead use the URL path and URL name in the action decorator. I like that. Because, yeah, then we got the PK, and then we got the dollars. Alright. I'm going to hit play. And then I'm going to type in 21 over here. Yeah, it's not going to find that. Shoot. Alright. That's the problem. So if we send a delete, we need to actually send the ID with it too. In which case, Django REST framework at action decorators. So see if there's any extra information that we can find. I hate when that happens. Sorry about that. There we go. The fuck? No, over here, bitch. Thank you. Excuse my French. Do not use as view with action methods. All right, it bypasses the router setup and may ignore. Oh, all right. Oh no, we're not using it. All right, cool. Yep, don't worry. So register users view set. All right, cool. We want to go down. So detail equals true, method equals that. So we've got the set password, but detail equals false. All right, different methods. All right, the action decorator will get a route, but also may accept other HTTP methods by sending the methods arguments, for example, like that. Argument methods also support HTTP, example below. Unset password, detail true, method. All right, yep. The decorator allows you to override the view set level configuration, such as permission classes. So permission classes, yep. All right, yeah, we're fine with all of that. Filter backend. The two new actions will be available at the end of that, and use the URL pass URL name parameters to change the URL segment and revise the URL name of the action. Cool. We'll actually be doing that because we'll separate them out into separate different methods. That way it's a lot easier for someone to read. To view all the extra actions, method, routing additional HTTP methods. Yeah, we've just done that. All right. Can be used to revise the default actions such as list and create. Yep. All right. So I'm just going through all of these. That's it. All right. Let's actually do this. So I am using Django REST framework. I would like to edit my just double checking what this is. Model view set. My view set with an action where I can use the method delete. I would like the URL to be that'll be API version 1 project, and then list item where 17 is the project ID and 55 is the list item ID that I would like to delete. How would I set this up? All right, let's find this out. To set up a custom delete action with the URL in the Django REST framework, use the action. Yep, URL. All right, cool. So they've got it like this: add action, details, method, URL path. Oh. All right. So yeah, we do need to use the URL path, and then yeah, they've got delete list item in here. We might go list item delete, which will be perfectly fine. So that's what we needed to do. We just needed to pass through the item PK. All right, cool. That's what I'm going to do. So in here, we've got the link list. We'll get rid of that. And what I'll do is I'll bump stuff like that. URL path equals, this will be link list. Easy done. We'll have, we'll just do that for the moment. I think we'll get it to always do the forward slashes. Okay, there's Ox, are you overheating in the bed? So this will be the get. I'm just going to copy this because we're just going to. It's only going to be a couple of changes. Oh, it's kidding me, right? So we got that one. We've got the get. We've got the linked list create. And then we'll have the linked list delete. And this one will have the, in here, int. They've got it as, they've got it like this. So we're gonna copy the same style. We've got the request alert, and then what we'll have in here, we'll have item PK. It's just because that's the item we're dealing with. We'll have a thing there, we'll have a thing there, and we'll have a thing there. And then this is still working. Great. And then we'll have like a delete one, page not found. Page not found. Yep. All right, cool. I will have to double check all of this. Sorry, I should have deleted these. But yeah, I think that will be the solution. Now, a lot of this code will be it will be the same code, essentially. What we'll actually do is we'll put a method somewhere with the idea that when someone hits this, it'll use the method, like an external method to sort of do that. That way, a generic method. That way, when I implement this for tasks and so forth like that, I'm not copying and pasting this code. It will be literally just going through and going, all right, cool, it's calling this. These are the properties sending through. Sweet, done. Yeah, it'll be just like that. That will be, and the same with the create. It will quite literally come through. It will just send that data somewhere else. That way, these little control points are lean. Lean mean control points machines. The only one which will be a bit different. All right, so we got a get. We'll have a post, and we'll have a delete here. And yeah, I think yeah. So I do need to test all of this, but I think this will be a solution. Now, where would I put that? It'll probably be under utilities or services. Oh, yeah. Forgot to add that into there. Async email services. Oh, yeah. Services help initialize class run. Oh, yeah, that's probably be in the services, because we're fetching data and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm just going to create link list service .py. And the idea is what we want to do is, oh, hey, piss off. We want to actually key that information into here. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just thinking of way too much at the moment. It's essentially the weekend for me now. All right. Just having a think. I'll need to create a service. I've got this one in it run. All right, cool. It'll be similar to this where it'll be a class. So we'll go from NearBeach.models import this will be object assignment. We'll go class link list service. I'm just going to bring this one over here. So service to help fetch to list, add, delete object links. We'll have a def in it, which in case will pass through the string, the destination, location ID, I'll initialize the class. Then what I want to do, I need to define those? I'll do that. We'll have the get link list. That at the moment will be returning nothing. That'll be fine. We'll have one def add link. We'll just return at the moment. Delete link. All right, delete link. I'll have it as self. But then we'll have the link PK. In which case, I want to then just return here. Once again, we're just filling out the skeleton of this. In here, what we want to actually do is we'll have that as link PK. Like so. And the idea with this now is we'll have to get some data. We'll put it into the serializer. So we'll have a special serializer for this. I'm just wondering if I actually have that on the class and just send that back down. That might be easier to do. Less code here because this is going to be very very, very general boilerplate for this. As it'll call that class, insert the variables that we need in it, and then handle it how we want it. So, for example, with this particular one right now, we're going to go I've also got a sorry, I've got a trap in my own thought process then. What we'll have is we'll have linked list service where we'll have project. We'll have the PK, and we'll have the link PK. We won't need that. Then we'll have the link list service dot delete link, and we'll have the link PK like that, but we'll have results equal, actually we'll have if link list like that. So if it deletes it, we're going to have dot not bad request 204 no content. Oh, fuck off. Sorry, excuse my French, but I purposely went down to 204 and I've hit enter. Fucking thing's driving me nuts how it's not consistent enough anymore. Now, in this case, it's saying this could be static. But no, it won't be static. What will actually happen is this will be, I'm just dealing with the delete very, very quickly. This will be object assignment results equals, this will be object assignment dot filter. Is deleted equals false. What we'll actually have in here is the destination location. That's that. And we go destination is location. Those will be self. Like that. Location ID. So that will get all of the object assignments that are like that are assigned for that. And then what we need to do is we need to go pk equals the link pk. And then we need to go if there are no values to update, notify the user. So we just need to notify the user. So if the length, if the length of the object equals 0, return false. We don't deal with anything. That's perfectly fine. Otherwise, what we do is now we delete, soft delete the data. And that will be object assignment results.update. And then we just go is deleted equals true. And that's just return true. All right, cool. So that's it in a nutshell. Yeah, we've just got to notify the user if we are changing any data. If we're not, tell the user, hey, you've made a mistake. If it's returned true, what will actually happen is this will come back to here. Oh, sorry. Yep. Yeah. No. All right. We're doing a lot of C#. Check to make I was just going to delete the data. If it returns true, it does that. If it doesn't, return response. 400 bad request. That's it. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. All right. So that's going to be the delete. As for creating something, we'll have the predator. The creating's going to be a little bit harder. I'm not going to worry about that tonight. It'll be a post. We'll actually have access to form data and stuff like that. We'll have to create a serialization for it. We'll have to pass through the form data into the method itself. So in here, we'll have add link. There'll be a self. We'll have post data. Something like that, and we'll handle that post data in here. That way it's a lot leaner in here. So that's the delete. This is the post. So what we'll want to do is, once again, we'll have the link list service equals link list service. We'll have the destination is going to be project straight off the bat, like that. Location ID will be the PK. So we'll do that. In fact, we could potentially do that. That makes it a little bit easier to read. Like that. Then what we'll have, link list service dot. We should say create link, not add link. And then we pass through the request, and then it'll be like the post, like that. That will be the post data. And then what we want to do is we want 2 responses back. We want the data. And we want the success, like that. If success, return response. We'll have data equals data. And then we'll have the status equals status.http created. Oh, fuck, God. Like that. If it is a problem, we'll pass through a bad request. And the bad request will be, with the data will be the data. All right, in here. That way the user actually gets a response being like, hey, this is the problem, and so forth like that. So that's how we'll handle it here. And once again, pretty much all of these lines will be copied and pasted, and that line will be changed. Because all of this will be pretty much the same. And it's as basic as this. So, yeah. If I have a scroll up, what I could potentially do is I can create this somewhere else and then put it into here and then feed it through like that, and well, that's another time. Another time. Let's not worry about that at the moment. As for this one, what we want to do is we want to go link list service equals link list service, destination equals project. Oh yeah, if it's different in different areas, then no, I won't be able to pass because that's hard coded. All right, don't worry. I'm getting way ahead of myself. And then what we want from here is we want data and success equals link get the list. If success, we bump this up, we go in here, we just go, all right, cool, data equals data, done. We won't have that, we'll have return response, data equals data, bad request, and that's pretty much it. So that's the structure. We now just got to handle doing that all over here. Once again, I won't do the create link, delete link, or get link list tonight. I could probably get the get link list. Let's try this very, very quickly. It is 10:30. What I want to do... No, I've got to set up serializers and stuff like that, so I'll just put to do. Fetch link data as formatted correctly. Alright, easy done. To do, use serializer to format data. Alright, cool. And that's pretty much it for tonight. Get status. What we're going to do... Oh, I should have done this in parts. I just realized that I've just mucked everything up. Status. Initial implementation of the link list. Currently setting up the API. Sorry. Initial implementation of the link list. Currently setting up the API. Alright, so that's up there for me to test later and so forth like that. I might, work more on my laptop. Yeah, so this is coming along. Once we get this service sort of done and dusted, it means this will work really well. We can then sort of extend this into other different areas. So, for example, if we wanted to extend this out, so that way up here we're just importing generic sort of classes up here to extend it, we can actually have up here a variable that states what it is and reference that and all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah. Other bits of object data that I've got to look out for. So documents that will be fetching from the document API. So we'll have one specifically for that. So linked objects we just talked about. Groups and users is another one which we'll probably also implement like this and handle it like that too. I like that idea. I think that's a lot better than what I had. Customers, that's going to be part of something else. Yeah, that's going to be... Yeah, don't worry about that one. The sprints, yeah, all of this other stuff I've got to think about too. But yeah. Alright. I'm going to call it there. We are going to raid Smalls the Cobol. Oh. Alright. So, Smalls Kobold is building his own little game. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, we'll raid him. Alright, give me a couple of seconds. I'm just making sure everything's all up and running. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for being here tonight. It has been good. We are making some jumps with this. Once again, I've got to figure all this out and how I want this all to connect. Yeah, anyway, I am going to raid. Oh, hold on, it won't let me raid. Alright, there we go. All right, thank you very much.